There could be a lot to learn here. Species description. Oh. Like the aliens, Mofang. Through ambassador seeds, the Mofang were the first non-human species humans. The first non-human species humans were introduced to. An Liang was the first to call the alien a Mofang, impressed with their advanced ability to imitate our sounds, movements, and mannerisms. Although they have a name for themselves, their language is mostly unpronounceable by humans. As a result, and because of their mimicry abilities, communication with the Mofang is primarily accomplished by their learning human languages rather than humans learning to speak Mofang. They've been able to learn almost every human language represented in Hunrath enough to provide functional, if rudimentary, communication. The Mofang basic external morphology is remarkably humanoid: bilateral, symmetrical tetrapods, bipedal, head with anterior facial features, mouth, eyes, nostrils. Other external features include minimal body hair and raised dorsal protrusions. Constitution is somewhat frail due to apparently to their thin and lightweight internal structure, but internal investigation has not been possible. They have ample cranial space to account for a substantial brain, and their intelligence is impressive, as evidenced by their advanced technology. What we're being described here sounds a lot like a gray man, like the stereotypical Roswell alien. Okay, well, just throw all of my time I spent trying to interpret this description out the window and just straight up draw the Roswell alien in front of me. There we go. The Ari. After a certain level of maturity and health of the tree, a passage opened at its base. This passage allowed contact with two additional species. The first contact was with the Ari. The first contact revealed the Ari to be large beetle-like insects. Is that the thing that's flying around? We were unable to communicate directly with them in any way, but they appeared to have some rudimentary level of intelligence. It was Lorink Toth who first made the journey through the heart to Kaptar, and named both the New World and its inhabitants. Ari have three distinct variants that have come to be referred to as barnacle, beetle, and polyarch. Although their morphology is dramatically different from human, their internal systems, like all of our neighbors, are supported by similar atmosphere composition and basic nutrients. In their barnacle stage, the Ari are completely immobile. The Ari stay in this egg-like development state seemingly indefinitely in order to hatch. They must be in proximity of a polyarch and fertilized by beetles after a certain stage of maturity. The beetles are the eyes and ears, hands and feet. With only a minimal nervous system of their own, they are essentially the sensory extensions of the immobile polyarchs. They are able to execute simple commands, but apparently have little in the way of individual sentience. Yep, that's what I expected, more or less. The Ari polyarchs are the intelligence and consciousness of the species. Although it was obvious that there was intelligence behind the species, it wasn't until Caroline Farley began spending large amounts of time in close proximity that deeper communication began. With a room nearby, Farley was the first to communicate non-verbally and learn much about the species, including some historical information. The Ari species survived in their world while several other sentient species came and went. Among them, an ancient species who formed a deeper relationship with the Ari, carving temples and dwellings for them in the rocks, and later a more recent species that took over much of their homeworld. This later species was especially adept at mechanical construction, using it mostly to capture and process large flying creatures using the beetles as bait. Oh, under view? That must be the immobile ones, actually. The Villian, that's one we've been hearing about. The final species to be discovered were the Villian. The Villian had been communicating with the Ari for many years through ambassador seeds, but became part of a larger community very shortly after the Ari. With a large and imposing frame and a form of communication based on a complex multi-voiced low-frequency rumble, the initial introductions were intimidating. After several attempts, Amelia Vidal was able to begin some rudimentary communication and began visiting the Villian in Murray, which she named on a regular basis. She discovered a complex and amazing society that was able to use their technology in unexpected ways. They had the ability to quickly transform their world using extruded structures based on some form of complex miniature substrate material. Unlike the other worlds, the Villian sphere is scooped out of a Villian resettlement group that was preparing to set off into space to find a new homeworld. This was their way of life, to put themselves into stasis and scatter themselves throughout the stars. As mentioned previously, their appearance is imposing, standing about 9 feet tall with a distinct reptilian resemblance. They have 6 limbs, 2 muscular legs and arms, and a smaller set of arms. They control every aspect of their technology with their vocalizations, but over the years they have created control panels based on their number system that allow other species to easier access elements of their technology. There's the big guy. So that guy that's the species that apparently gave us the that computer terminal, more or less. Alright, so this is a place I'll definitely need to revisit from time to time if I ever need specific information about anything going on around us, because this is all here. Let's take a quick look around before I read the rest. Oh, wow. We could be reading here for a long time. More cards. I don't think the cards are going to be a solution to stuff. It's too haphazard. Is it an audio log? Sorry. Just go all the way to the beginning, I guess.
Well, I feel like I should say something. We haven't heard from Shavar. So, well, so we assume that Shavar, well, the attack is inevitable. We just don't know when. So, Shavar and her family, and others she trusts, I guess, well, they'll arrive when they can, without giving, like covertly. So the plan will happen, in spite of our we're locking down as much as possible here and moving everybody out. CW will stay here, and I'll go to Murray at the last possible moment. Most are gone. There's just a few left here now. The mayor got out early. I don't even know why I'm recording this. It's like somehow we'll live on or something. I guess this has meaning if someone listens, but who? A new one? A new arriver. Oh, God, the kiosk out front. I need to update that message.
I like that little note. So she realized she needs to update the message out front, which is why midway through that message is like it goes from like a greeting to a warning that everyone's dead basically, or we're preparing for war or whatnot. Then goes back to a greeting, like it's a weird like partially recorded over message, like you tape like recording over a VHS or something. And that's like she walked off to do that, and it's just that nice little funny detail where she wanders off to replace it, then she comes back to turn this off because she realizes she left it on, like that little human moment because she's forgetting something. Hey, you. No, I want to rotate you. No, I want to rotate you. Don't fight me. Just give in. Give in to the rotation, love bear. I don't think there's any details on this guy. Just a weird koala doll. Alright. So, we're reading notes that are giving us information about their research here and their little encounters with... Like there's even a welcome sign. Like, they had that out front before. You can tell the detail, like, they had this welcome sign out front before next to this, and it was all like, yay, newcomer! Thanks for coming by. But then the context changed, and it wasn't such a good time.
Hi, I'm sorry. I guess if you're seeing this, then I wasn't able... Just in case. Welcome. But it's probably not safe here. To be blunt, we're getting ready for a battle. I don't know what you'll find. I just thought I should. Just be cautious with who you trust. CW may be here. I don't know. Just be careful. I've got to go. See you soon. And don't panic. As jarring as this experience is, it really will.
So it was like a greeting that turned into this nasty little warning of how bad things have gotten, saying don't trust anyone. We're getting ready for a battle. We don't know with who necessarily yet, I don't think. But yeah, it's interesting because we're getting this different timelines overlapping here, where you have the original greeting, you have the notes from them learning about the various alien species that are around here, and then you have the hints that people are missing and gone, or that they lost the battle, or that they're leaving this location altogether, and a hastily changed warning. And we're getting all this information at the same time instead of separately. And now we get the confirmation that there's children here, or a child, or somebody who's really bad at drawing. Hello. This might be the map of the entire... Alright, we're just gonna take a picture right here. This might be a map of the entire game. Let's see. So I assume that we're calling Earth... I don't know, are we currently at Earth, or are we currently at Heart, I wonder? I would assume Earth, just because that you think you'd name that after our system, but that one being called Heart makes me think that that's the location with the tree in it, like that seems to be where we are right now. Let's see. So they find planets with similar atmospheres, they initiate swaps. Huh. I think they're saying that maybe we came from Earth and the seed came from Soria? This is a strange diagram, kind of. Maybe one location swapped between Soria and Mofang, but then this seed went from Earth to the tree, or back and forth, like the seed that brought us here somehow. Let's see. The heart-connected path open when mature. Going by colors, I assume this right here is us right there. And that's the tree that connects to the other systems. Maybe this diagram is just a diagram talking about how the seed and how the people left Earth and how the seed grabbed them and everything like that. But maybe this bottom diagram is a map of the actual locations we can visit here. Heart, superposition, 4 species meet. So the tree seems to connect to 3 different other locations. What happens at fruition? Swap where? Home? When? Maybe dead? More seed pairs scattered throughout the universe? Why scattering? So something about the seed or the tree must cause a connection to the other locations. I think if any one thing is clear, it seems to be that if we get to the tree, we'll be able to transfer to different locations altogether. My brother, small and nice, sings constantly. As noisy as a rock concert, if only he would be quiet. Oh. I wasn't very happy. I wish my brother would shut up. I wish you were dead. Then everyone was actually dead. And we all had a bad time. Alright, what's the next notepad gonna say? What's down there? It's way down there, so I probably can't click on it. I don't think there's even a crouch in this game. Communication. Talking with our neighbors. We take communication for granted. even with the varied languages we find here in Hunrath, but when we suddenly find ourselves among other intelligent species who don't share our culture, history, DNA, or vocal cords, it requires a huge amount of effort for the beginning of rudimentary chatting. This quick overview will set the stage for what to expect when communicating with our neighbors. Mofang. The Mofang were the first non-humans we met. With at least some level of similar physical vocal generating abilities, they picked up human words quickly. This early mimicry resulted in what the species became called. Even when they were able to mimic single words and simple phrases, it became evident that over the years that the huge grammatical differences were not easily overcome. Some have proposed that the difficulty may have arisen because the Mofang insisted on attempting to learn every human language, and as a result were never able to lock onto any consistent grammatical structure. Nevertheless, in spite of the rudimentary sentence construction, it has been very easy to communicate, and it has been unnecessary for us to learn their language beyond a few simple phrases and proper names. If you'd like to learn more about the communication with the Mofang, please contact Tam. Yeah, I'll get right on that. So that's interesting. So do the Mofang all have one language, or the ones that are here at least? Maybe they're all grabbed from one location, or maybe their planet is more universal in that it's one language is taken over completely. But yeah, humans are so diverse in their languages that if they're grabbing people from weird enough places, which seems like it would be, because that intro narration seemed to imply that everyone is being grabbed from different times and different locations, perhaps. If that's what's happening to some extent with the newcomers, then you'd get a big variety of random languages, because our languages on Earth are an absolute mess. So I never really thought about that before in any context, really, of all of sci-fi. Actually, I don't think I've ever encountered this concept, but yeah, if aliens encountered humans, you'd encounter different humans, and all of your any different language skills you've picked up from dealing with one human would totally throw away. You throw it out the window the moment you deal with another one that just doesn't happen to have the same relationship there, the same background. Villian. The Villian have presented a particular communication challenge. From what we can gather, they produce sounds using two large reed-like structures inside opposite sides of their heads. The vibrations generated are channeled to resonance chambers in their skulls, where they are combined into a complex low-frequency dual tone. The low-frequency bitonal sounds are not only hard for humans to hear and resolve, but impossible for us to mimic. And the Villian's hearing is also oriented towards low frequency, so they are unable to hear most of the sounds associated with human speech. Therefore, communication with the Villian has relied on technology. They have adapted consoles, which the Villian fluently control with vocalization, for use by other species. Over the years, some individuals of other species, including a few humans, have learned to communicate very effectively using this method. Humans have been able to pick up some higher frequency characteristics of certain key Villian words over the years, and although we can't speak to them in a way that the Villians can understand, we occasionally are able to hear and recognize these words when spoken distinctly by the Villian. If you'd like to learn more about communication with the Villian, please contact Vito. Yeah, no big deal, right? They're all alive and around, I'm sure. Now here's the next detail for sure, is we've dealt with creatures that like the common Star Trek thing, for example, is to have a bunch of creatures that just have their own languages, but you just figure out, like, oh, what do Klingons speak? It's no big deal. They're basically humans, right? They just make different noises. But now you got somebody who has a hum vocalization, and they communicate intelligently with a complex language, but it's just a dull background noise almost that they make by comparison. There's no bridging that gap through traditional means. Alright. None of the stages of the Arai morphology have any vocalization apparatus. Because of the obvious synchronization of the barnacle flash and the ability of the pawns to provide for and address the needs of the polyarchs, it was assumed that the species could communicate effectively. It was not until Farley began to spend large amounts of time in the polyarch antechamber that the first clues to this communication became evident. After months of research, Farley began to have limited success with receiving some kind of simple messages that were coming from the polyarchs. It is apparent now that the polyarchs have been attempting to communicate the entire time, but they themselves had been experimenting with various channels until they finally got a response from Farley. After this breakthrough, others were able to tune in to the polyarchs and learn to listen. Both the polyarchs and the pawns have a simple organ that can sense human vocal frequency, enabling them to sense simple responses from humans. But over the years, Farley was able to learn to speak to the polyarchs via a related form of extrasensory transmission. Like to learn more about communication with the Uri, please contact Farley. Good job, Farley. Kudos to that. So many little details here. What's in the books? Okay. Not what I was going for. There we go. Oh, seed information. That's how I got here. Expect my character to be very interested in that. Let's see. Ambassador seeds were first documented around 150 Earth years ago. They occur about once every 400 days if the trees remain healthy. Natural seed swaps occur between pairs of seeds that we now know dropped simultaneously from healthy trees in paired sphere, which, when each seed was touched by a species in sphere, the swap occurred, sending an ambassador from each sphere to the paired sphere. Oh. So that's a better description of what we encountered before when they're trying to talk about how the seeds work. So if people touched seeds in other worlds, the two of them would just swap, just like that. So was somebody trying to leave? I wonder if somebody was trying to leave through the cave and they swapped with me even, or if I got here a different way. Oh, collector seeds are probably how I got here. So on the ambassador seeds, location of the swap is defined by the locations of the pairs of seeds. After the first swap, the seeds recharged quickly, allowing for a quick return. First meetings were intense but naturally short. It was quite a surprise for both the Mofang and us. Over time, the seeds required more time to recharge, producing longer visits between species. Okay. So that's the first encounter there. They just, two of them swapped and didn't know how to interact with each other, and apparently they weren't violent at least, and got back peacefully. Collector seeds. Everyone who arrives and is familiar with the collector seeds. The bright light that we all were drawn to right before the event that brought us here is a collector seed. What new arrivers may not be aware of is that these seeds, like all seeds, come in pairs. When the tree drops a collector seed on the ground, it signals that its twin has begun its quest for a new being. That search may take hours or may take years. When an appropriate situation, unnatural threat of death, is found, the seed activates and swaps a smaller but varying sized sphere from Earth, or whatever appropriate home world here to Hunrath. As Hunrath became more populated, we would watch for a newly dropped collector seed, collect it, and place it in the entry canyon area. This allows us to provide a more predictable entry experience for new arrivers and provide a single area to collect any resources that may have come along with the new arriver. That's interesting. So I'm gonna want to go back to the entrance then to look at it then, because this whole place looks like Arizona right now. But if I go back to the original spot, I assume that place is gonna look like the campgrounds, I think. And if that's the case, that every time someone swaps in the place they were from, it's gonna be filling up that cave. So that cave's changed appearance over and over again. Unlike ambassador seeds and mother seeds, collector seeds do not seem to survive. The inner core is spent, leaving only the lifeless outer husk. That's why we saw a broken seed back there. Mother seeds. Postulated but unverified, so this is a hypothetical concept basically. First suggested by Alama Hamza, 2232BTT, the notion of mother seeds extrapolates the behavior of the lesser seeds to a superseed. She posited that the process that actively created the paired spheres was similar to all other swaps, but on a much grander scale. The idea is that two seeds from a mother tree were scattered on the galactic winds to find appropriately similar environments. When matches were found, some process was triggered that swapped large portions of a landscape between vastly different worlds. Alma further noted that the tree's locations in the center of the sphere suggested that the trees grew from these mother seeds. Because of the similarities, it has been conjectured that reswapping the entire environmental spheres might be possible with a larger scale version of the ambassador seed machine. That's our best clue of a way to get back then. There's nowhere to read there. Let's check out the projector next. I rotate you to a certain spot. Yes. Probably want to point you at this guy. Can I rotate you at all? No? Maybe I put you back up. Mostly looking for a flat, nice place to project onto, if this thing does work. Although if I turn you towards the map, that might even indicate something too. We'll see. That wall might work. Oh. Okay, so yeah, the map is the right one. It is the puzzle I was kind of thinking it might be. Okay, this is a little iffy. There we go. Some of the movement feels like it might work a little better on a touch screen. So it's circling. Huh. It's putting a circle around this part of the wall next to the tower. Gotta wonder what that's about. Does it rotate at all? Just a simple on and off and not much else going on. Huh. I can bring you back down, I guess. There we go. Alright. Keep that in mind then. There's a weird circle on the wall by the tree in the tower. We can go by the tree again, see if I can get inside. Might as well save the power a little bit, right? Even though the power seems to be everywhere right now. The drawers don't seem to open. Cabinets. Not a whole lot. Floor notes not accessible. There's one more. Oh, wait, what was that? That's just what's holding things up. There's supports. One last little detail. This seems to be this book. Oh, come on now. There we go. I think I'm clicking too early. Welcome to Hunrath. Please give us a bit of information about you so we can get to know you a little better. Name. Date you came from. Please use a 4-digit year. Wow. There are other years? Where you came from, country and city. Circumstance under which you were taken. Please note any dangers you notice. So the dangers seem to be what actually caused you to come here. So in our case, there was lightning coming our way. Emptied and filled. 12,000, 13,000, 15,000 AH. Huh. So we have Samuel Caron. February 2017. Manakana, Madagascar. I had just arrived and was driving my supply truck along the coast south of Manakana, or Manakara? N's and R's look so similar in this writing. I think it's Manakara. When I recall being washed away and the seed appeared. Age 61. Visiel Regenbogen. Handwritings are all over the place here. 26-year-old from Lübeck, Germany. Oh, ripped out here from 1942. That's a big deal. Last thing I recall was a large rumbling while I was hiding in the cellar of a vacant building. I ran towards a bright light in the stairwell. So he got teleported out of a world war. That's a big deal. Maria Gallego, 1988. Cozumel, Mexico. On my boat in a bad storm. Female, 56-year-old. Facing Jiang Cyan, March of 2042. Portland, United States of America. Skiing. On Mount Hood. She was skiing and she got grabbed. Oh, he. Male, 37. I cannot read that name. I'm just gonna go past that. So I assume that these writings we're seeing here are actually what year it was in their, what was probably a new invented time period that they used to tell what the hell's going on around here. Like I'm sure they have their own year system here. And maybe it's borrowed from the aliens or something, and that's probably what's going on with that stuff. Alright, so that's one thing to potentially follow up on. I'm gonna do the 15 first and see what comes up when I put that in. I'm rather curious. Alright, back to adventuring. Sorry if that was a little long. I figured I'd just go through it all at once because it's all relevant information. It's a lot of world building all at once too. It's all potentially important, all potentially unimportant, but at least we have background for stuff that's going on around here. I tried a different style back in Talos Principle, where I would try to carefully mete out the information over time, and we'd do puzzle, then go back to computers, then do puzzle and go back to computers, but people expressed their dissatisfaction pretty frequently with how often I would put off reading stuff for later, when I thought I was pacing it well. But who knows? Let's see here. Let's go make our diagonal 15 and see what number that spits out. Howdy. Yes. 406. What? Why did it do that? Alright, so 406. What if I type 15 on here? If I type a 15 on here, it turns into a 4, basically. That's interesting. Not sure what to make of that yet, but it's interesting. Oh, I can pick you up. Free consultation. Auto accidents. Hello. Published by Activision, developed by Prologue. The Manhole. A whimsical world where every character comes alive and every hallway leads to another wild dream. Let the child in your home, or the child in your heart, become the main character. An imaginative journey, out now. July 26th, 1988. Did Activision publish a artsy adventure game in 1988? Was Activision even... I think their company was around back then, but I don't think they were called Activision back then. I think they were called a different company altogether. Oil sale, only 15 cents. Willa Cola. Alright, I do believe I need to find myself a new task to follow then. Let's see. I guess I could try to find out, what do I want to try to do here? Curious about that thing in particular, but not sure what to do with that yet. Let's see if opening certain doors suddenly works when the power is restored. You can actually see the power going into this door, which makes me curious. Nope. Seems like a lot of these doors are only going to be openable from behind, one way or another. Okay. So... thinking. Let's visit the tree. The tree might have something in store for us. Thought I'd make a quick stop by the origin point, now that we learned a little bit more about it. Let's see if we can see the clear cutoff point where it goes from being Arizona to being wherever we started off in the Pearl. Yeah, that's just a tree. Those are just trees right there. Wow. I didn't really look around quite as much, so I didn't have a reason to question it at first, where the hell we were. You just walk on forward and boom. Arizona. Didn't know how stark of a change it was right away, but yeah, there's just trees. They're cut off in a spherical pattern. They just end where the rock starts. Even the bench does, huh? I was looking at the light and not paying attention to the fact that the bench just ends right there. This impossible angle. Also, this lantern apparently just stays lit forever. It kind of highlights how out of place everything is, though. That there's a lantern just here. Got pine cones. There's the spent seed. That's what brought me here. I swapped with another one, apparently. And you can kind of go back through here, but the cave doesn't seem to take you much of anywhere. I'd say the one odd detail here is that, I don't know, I would figure you probably wouldn't perfectly place the seed in the same spot over and over again. So since they're not since it's probably slightly off each time, you'd expect to see remnants of other societies or other locations kind of scattered around a little bit. But no, it's perfect. It's a perfect transition from forest area to Arizona, suggesting that it's somehow perfectly centered every time. You never know. Maybe they worked out a system. That seems like a pointless thing to focus on, though. So, just don't think about it. Here we go. This is the rocks I took out earlier. I didn't really look down and think about it, but the rocks themselves actually have the same projector thing, the same crystal technology as everything else. So we could tell from the red color of the rocks that they were being projected by that technology, but it actually has the same physical projector thing inside of it to further emphasize that idea. I do kind of wonder if I'm supposed to just destroy all these. Like maybe their laser beam indicates that they're powering this field. Let's head back in here. Does anything back here move yet? There's a question. Not you, huh? And that's all lit up down there. But I need to find a way down there because this doesn't move at all right now. Alright, we need to find our way to that hand crank somehow. I'll find you!